Ever felt like you're made for more, but the door won't open? Like the calling is clear, but the timing feels off? That waiting space isn't wasted. It's where leaders are formed. So let's talk about it. Sometimes leadership feels like a long season of waiting for the right role, the right opportunity, or just the right moment to step into what you know you're called to do. For me, that started back in middle school. I'll never forget when my youth pastor pulled me aside and said, "You've got something special. You're a natural leader and people just follow you." At that time, I didn't fully grasp what it meant. I thought it was cool, but I went back to doing just the middle school stuff. But as I've grown, that sense of calling has only gotten stronger. I felt more and more convinced that leadership is what God's placed on my life. And yet there have been long stretches where I wasn't in a formal leadership position. No title, no role, just waiting. And that's hard. It's hard to feel called, but not yet crowned. It's hard to feel like you're made for more, but you're not sure when or if it's coming. I've personally wrestled with discouragement in that space, wondering if I'm falling behind, questioning if I'm still growing, and trying to stay engaged when nothing seems to be moving. This episode is about that exact tension, the waiting room of leadership. What do you do when you know you're called, but the door hasn't opened yet? How do you stay faithful, stay ready, and keep growing? So when the moment comes, you're not just waiting, you're prepared. So let's talk about what the waiting room can teach you. So you're called, but you're not yet crowned. When we think about being called, we often assume it means stepping into something right away. But one of the clearest examples of waiting on God's timing is the story of David. David was just a teenager when the prophet Samuel anointed him as the next king of Israel. But instead of heading into the palace, he was sent right back into the pasture to tend sheep. So think about that. He'd just been chosen by God for something huge and then told to wait. And the wait wasn't short. Over the next several years, David would face everything from delivering food to his brothers on the battlefield to dodging spears from a jealous King Saul. He hid in caves, lived on the run, and led a group of outcasts. It didn't look anything like a king's journey. But here's the truth. All of that, the waiting, the trials, and the hidden years, was preparation. God was forming David's character, building his resilience, and teaching him to lead before ever handing him a crown. So being called doesn't mean you're ready. The delay wasn't denial, it was development. God wasn't saying no, he was just saying not yet. These delayed promotions and opportunities build deeper character. Joseph had leadership dreams as a teenager, literal ones, but instead of stepping into influence right away, he was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. For over 13 years, he lived in the gap between the calling and the crown. But during that time, Joseph stayed faithful. He served with integrity in Potiphar's house, led well in prison, and used his gifts when no one was watching. When the moment finally came to stand before Pharaoh, Joseph didn't promote himself. He gave credit to God. That humility, that wisdom, it didn't come from comfort. It came from waiting. The waiting room isn't wasted time. It's where your character is shaped. Leadership that lasts isn't built in the spotlight. It's forged in the seasons nobody sees. The waiting room truly reveals where your identity lives. Before Jesus ever turned water into wine, fed the 5,000, or preached the Sermon on the Mount, he spent 30 years in quiet obedience. No spotlight, no miracles, no crowd, just a carpenter in a small town, faithfully living out everyday life. And yet, at his baptism, before his public ministry even began, God spoke this over him. "This is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased." Jesus hadn't even preached a single sermon. He hadn't healed anyone yet, but God didn't say, "I'm pleased because of what you've done." He said, "I'm pleased because you're mine." And that's powerful. You don't earn your identity, you receive it. And before you step into influence, before the title, before the recognition, God already sees you and says, "You are enough." Your worth isn't found in what you accomplish, it's found in who you belong to. So if you're having a tough time in this waiting period, here's a simple acronym to help you navigate the waiting room. Watch your motives. Are you seeking the platform or the purpose? Accept the process. Trust that growth is happening behind the scenes. Invest where you are. Don't waste the waiting. Lead where you are. And lastly, trust the timing. God's delay isn't his denial. So where in your life do you feel stuck and in the waiting room? Drop your stories in the comments below. And what if it's not actually wasted? What if it's the exact space God is using to shape the kind of leader who's ready for what's next? Remember, the waiting room is never the end of the story. It's where leaders are forged. Your time will come, but only if you let the waiting do its work. Thanks for listening, guys. And if this episode helped you out, hit that like and subscribe button. It'll help me out a lot. And ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on any more content. And we'll see you guys next week. Peace.